Welcome, welcome, welcome. Another Thursday night live with your boys, the Soaring Prophets. Well, Thursday afternoon, I guess. I know for some of you, your phone's probably pinging. You're like, what is going on? What are the Soaring Prophets guys doing at 5:30 on Thursday? But we've been in Europe. We had Scotland 20 minutes ago. We are now with the Oz Hawe Petersson Rendezvous group, a music group out of Sweden. We're traveling the world tonight, and we're super thrilled to have them. These gentlemen come to us from Sia, which is one of our OGs. She has been a huge light in what we've done with Soaring Prophets over the last little while. She worked with Mathias in the professional career before he decided to don what he's doing now. So without further ado, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. This is one that's been on the calendar for a while that we wanted to we were really looking forward to it. You guys come absolutely highly regarded, and it's pretty neat what you guys are doing. Mathias, Oz, tell me a little bit about what it is you folks are doing over there and why it is that you're doing it. You've brought 21 recording artists together, musicians together to make this happen. Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure, I can do. Do you want to start also, or should I do it?
You do it.
So basically, in the foundation, it was basically a bunch of friends of ours coming together, putting together one of the albums that we have dreamed about doing for years and years and years. So that's basically the background. We want to really do an album to honor the OR era back in the late 80s, early 90s. That's the thing we really want to do. And Oz is the brain, and I'm just happy that he wanted to bring me along in this journey. So we are basically the project together, me and Oz, and then two people doesn't make a band, so we bring a bunch of other people to complete this. So why don't you tell us a bit about the background, Oz, and how we got all the people in there?
The goal for me to make this record was basically to go back to how they made records, a few decades ago. Because I feel that when I listen to a lot of those classic albums, they're not 80s or 70s or 90s sounding albums. They're timeless now.
Sure.
And that is because back then they recorded them in a way where pretty much every single note was counted for. It wasn't, a wall of sound like it is today. It was something more magical in a sense where every musician, whether it was the percussionist in the background or the singer in front or everyone in between, everyone, had a voice basically. And also, of course, analog sound. We recorded it digitally, but we did mix it analog on tape. So we got that warmth in there. And the project itself has been in the making for, 14 years or so.
Yeah.
And it's because Mathias and I had a band back in the day called I, as in this thing, not I as in me, but I as in what we have above our nose. And we had that for a few years playing this type of music, but due to band politics and stuff, it folded. However, Mathias and I, we kept in touch because we're kindred spirits. We have a way to write music that is a little bit, like you just know that it clicks. It's just right. So we've been for a lot of.
We're not agreeing all the time, but
fuck no.
No, but when we get together, it's 1 + 1 becomes more than maybe even up to 4, right? Because we really bring out the best of each other. Sorry for cutting you short there, Oscar.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
But that's the thing. But I
sound like us. I got this asshole. That
I was just thinking that. I'm like, how many times do we
like a lost dog, and I can't get rid of him? I don't know which one of you is me and which one's him, but you sound a lot like us. Let me tell you.
Oh, yeah, that's good. No, but Oz, I want you to tell the story because that's the one that you actually started this when you remember we sat down actually in this room. This is my home studio behind me. We were sitting down here, and Oz said to me, I have this, we need to do this thing, and I have this idea, and then he told me a story about his dad, and why don't you tell that, because that is a beautiful one. That's basically the mindset that we started this off. Go ahead.
Not only is the record made like they made, records back then, but it's also based on nostalgia. And I cannot speak for everyone, but I can speak for my own. I can, bring out my own nostalgia. So what I did was I wanted to write music that sounded the way they do, like they do when I play up, my memories in my head, the songs that would be the soundtrack of those memories in a way. And I mean, back in for me, late 90s, early 2000s, when I was a teenager, I spent a lot of, even in the early 90s, actually, I spent a lot of time with my dad here on the countryside. Me and Mathias lives in different cities. I live in Gothenburg on the west coast. Mathias lives in Stockholm on the east coast. But I, like 25 minutes from here on the countryside, there's a little village called Onsala, a little community. And I spent a lot of time over there, and we could just, 9 or 10 at night be like, you know what, let's just go for a drive. So we did, and we went through all these red dirt roads and all the typical country-esque landscapes, and listened to good music and just bonded. And when I look back, I automatically find myself there, because that is when I learned a lot about not just, my dad, but also by myself and how I, think in regards to the things he told me and everything, and how much he wanted me to succeed doing this sort of thing. And when, decades later, me and Mathias are working together, and I find myself in a similar situation going back to and from the studio, where Mathias, when he was actually living here in Gothenburg, when
back in the day
when because we bonded, we talked about everything and nothing, and discussed this and that and everything in between, but pretty much, and just you found yourself wiser at the end of the drive, and then what you at the beginning of it, because just so much knowledge about being bounced around between the two. And I draw this parallel, and therefore this is pretty much what the cover art is. I'm gonna glare here. This is pretty much what it represents.
Yeah.
Those open country roads. And this is a drawing. Well, it's part Photoshop too, but it is mainly a drawing, which is not exactly the way this place of 20 minutes from here called Onsala looks like, but what it looked like from my memory. So it's like a fictional version of Onsala. And Onsala also is a little bit called like the Texas of Sweden, because it has a similar type of landscape. So it does have a Texan landscape in a way. And the Space Observatory is over there as well, and you can find a million of these radio towers, which also is there as a little homage to one of my favorite albums in this genre, which is Raised on Radio by the band Journey. So that's why I made this cover, because this is the way our songs look like.
I love it.
And this is how our albums sound like. So
that's how he sold the idea to me. He said, I want to do a Drive in the Night album that sounds like it was made in the late 80s. That's what he told me, and I was like, yes, go for it. So we honor that era by I'm the keyboard player, right? So although I have modern keyboards, all the sounds I use is sound that could have been created back then. And that's true for everything we do on this album. It's supposed to sound like something that was created back then. I can share that some of the reviewers of the album was like, oh yeah, it sounds like it was actually recorded back then. How do you do it? So
and part of that is also
sorry, that's a question that I have right away, right? Is that, are you using modern day technology? And then if you are, what sort of limitations does that do? Because again, the music, when you put vinyl down, and I'm just old enough to remember it, right? Because again, that's my genre, right? I'm born in 86. That gives you a rough idea, right?
85.
There you go, right? So like you put that down, the cracks, the pops, like there is something uniquely different there than push play.
So let me try to answer that too. So basically, to me, it's modern technology has come so far that you can do everything perfect.
Right.
That's the problem, and
That's the problem.
yeah, because it's because many, and now I'm talking about my synths, right? The old synth sounds of that era, they tried to make it sound like the actual piano, or actual strings, or actual brass,
right.
but they couldn't, and they did the best they could. Nowadays, these sounds are iconic because because that's the way it sounded back then. Now you can actually sound like the real thing, but that's not the same. So that's where technology comes in, and same thing with recordings or mixing and whatever. These imperfections made it more alive, or and even one of these small technical things. I don't know if people here listen to this, podcast or whatever it is, they're interested in technology, but I actually do a little bit of over distortion. Put that on top of everything. You don't hear it. It's not like a distorted sound, but it's a little bit over too much. And that makes it more fatter, more fuller, more, So that's all of these things that we done it in all the parts of our recording actually makes a huge difference in terms of the way it sounds. And also, again, like Oz was mentioning, we're trying to we really went inside out and look at all the things to play, all the notes we're playing, and all the sounds we're using, and all the vocals, the harmonies, everything has just been scrutinized back and forth because we wanted to really honor the era. And that's what we do here.
Right.
I love all that. I particularly love. So Pat and I are big father guys. Our dads were like very big in our lives. My dad still talks in my head all the time. He's been dead since a long time ago, since I was 27. And I love the fact that you're almost making homage to him. But there's also those drives that I had with my kids that you have those deeper talks because there's silence in between. And I can remember drives where there'd be my dad's 8-track. That's how old this guy is. My dad's 8-track playing in the truck, Johnny Cash, Burning Ring of Fire, all that stuff. And those songs bring me back to a time when I was sitting beside my dad having the best conversations because I had his ear. I had his time. He didn't have work to go to. He didn't have something he had to deal with. There was no stress in that. We could just talk and have a great time. So I love that. And I love that you're going to create a whole new generation of people that can have those road trip songs. I think it's beautiful. There's kind of a link between you guys and Pat and I. We have a creative process where I might be more of the creative engine, and I come to him with the looniest of ideas sometimes good. And then he kind of makes it better. And there's a harmony to it. We don't fight often, but sometimes we do. We're on opposite sides. I imagine especially because younger, you can be led by a leader. But when you get to a certain age, not that you guys are old, it's harder to be led by one person. So can you talk about some of your conflicts? Maybe one of them, I don't want to bring up any hostilities, but maybe one of them, like one of the creative processes that you guys had that you were like, and how you overcame it.
So let me break it up. So you get one and I do one. So okay, so I remember we were discussing. It was part of a song, right? And we were discussing, what type of sound I should use, and I sent probably like 15 verses saying, this one. I thought, no, there's something. I hear something that is not. There's something in the background I don't like. There's something really weird here, and I'm like, come on, you just listen to it. Did you like the chords? You like the melodies? So no, there's something in here I don't like, and it took us a while, actually several days, because again we're sitting 5 hours away, opposite side of Sweden, and it turns out that because when I do sounds, I layer a lot of things in there, and it was one of those small layer things that came in a little bit late, that were like a type of sound that I didn't
like a fucking drill.
Tell me it still burns your ass without telling me it still burns your ass. I love that. That was perfect.
But that's typically, that's the type of conflicts that we have. At the same time, we can, we joke, say things, right? So, so take an example that you think of.
Well, another one is the song called This Time Around, where I change the pre-chorus every time I move around the chords. And Mathias is like, why fucking complicate things? And you can do like Prince and have the same 4 chords and make them sound different. And I'm like, no, I'm doing a reverse Prince, and I have different chords making them sound the same. And that's just for the hell of it. And that was a little discussion, but I mean, it turned out pretty cool.
Yeah,
I love it when it's like.
I have to say one of them was needed because the chorus is in we go into a key change, and I had to go back into the main.
that was one of them. That was one of them. All.
Yeah,
it's just one of them. You know, not all of them. That's
the other 2 were.
I love it.
But to go back a little bit to the way it sounds, older, like an older type of record. And when it comes to the amplifiers and the guitar pedals I used, there was an amplifier from '84, one from '89, one from '92, and a pedal from '94. So I mean, I use vintage stuff, even though the guitars are new. The amplifiers, because I record them here in my home studio, but I send clean channels to the actual studio that mixes the album, and he reamp them with these older amplifiers to get that warm sounds. And when it comes to keyboards, I mean, if you use modern keyboards, but the modules are actually from back in the day, aren't they? The actual sounds,
or inspired by, in a way. So they are recreations of the old stuff that we use. So that's the and again, this is not a part of the way we actually have debates. We had this clear vision from beginning, right? But then again, the sounds themselves, as you heard, could be an issue when we discuss these things, right? But I was just thinking that you can use that quote, you're the anti-Prince. That's who we are. If people were
no, reverse, not anti, reverse Prince.
Reverse Prince. Sorry.
Actually, it's the reverse. The artist that was formerly named Prince, I believe now. Yeah. So Pat and I have had those things. It's funny how it's usually like that little intricate. I just want something like slightly that I find, maybe different or annoying or whatever, or Pat does. And it's like, to me, I don't care, Pat. Like, this is a ridiculous conversation, but to him, it's really important. Now, so you guys collaborated, you got what you wanted to go, you had a vision, and then you added 21 other musicians. So how did that affect the sound? Because I imagine you bring in other people, they're going to be like, yeah, you know what? It would sound better like this, man. Like, did you come across that as you were growing, adding people?
No, first it was in the very early stage of this project. It was me, Mathias, and the singer of my main band, Osukaru, because I wanted to kind of combine the 2 worlds in a way. But as time went by, he got more busy and stuff like that, and he told me, this is supposed to be a side project. Try to spread your wings a little bit. I can do, a few songs, of course. I would love to be part of your record. But how about invite other singers and stuff like that? And I don't like records where every single song has a new voice. So we set the limitation to 4. And then I am a guitar player, but I'm one of those mythical, almost unheard of creatures who doesn't like to play solo. So I wanted every song to have, another guitar player doing the leads. Or the solo. I do a few leads, but they do the main solos, and that's pretty much it. I mean, we for the most part have the same backing band. We have the same drummer throughout the entire thing, and we have 3 bass players, but one of them, Rebecca, is playing the lion's share of the songs, and then we have Alice doing one. We have Robert from a band called Captain Blackbeard doing 2 songs, and myself doing bass on 1. So we do have the same backing band for the most part, but then we switch singers and guitar players.
Yeah, and to answer kind of your question,
lead guitar players.
Yeah, no. So James, to try to answer your question, it's part of the point that we didn't want the guitar players to sound the same. We wanted them to bring their personality. We wanted the different vocalists to bring you know, we have the same backing vocals and all this. So she's doing most of this stuff, but you know, the lead vocalists, they were really bringing their game, and same with the solo guitarist. So you know, this was adding to the mix, not you know, we don't try to limit them, right? So that's another way of approaching things, because again, I had a fear, I think you did too, right? That it would sound like, you know, 10 different bands, but it didn't. It actually come together as you know, it doesn't sound like that, even though we have different, you know, lead vocalists and different, you know, solo guitarists, and you know, and that's a very cool thing.
But it's also because it's also, you know, Chris, for example, he sings the first song called Sacred Land, but he's also playing guitar solo on 2 songs. And Fredrik, the singer of my main band, Osukaru, he's doing vocals on, I believe, is it 4? I think 4 songs, and he's also doing guitar solo on 1. So I mean, we collaborate. I mean, Jane, who's singing lead vocals on 2 songs, co-wrote another. So they are still involved in the project, even more so than just the few tracks they sing or play. So and we didn't, you know, tell everyone play like this. I mean, of course, we have an idea where we wanted the song to go, but we wanted every musician to shine. Like I told you earlier, we want every note to count. And we want their personality to come through. And I think just, you know, because of the type of musicians we asked to be part of this, I mean, they gave their all, and you can hear them. There's so much talent on this record.
Yeah. And don't forget to mention the fact that they are actually, these are friends of ours. These are not... Yeah. You know, hired guns. These are people that we know, people that we said, do you want to be part of an album, by the way? And they go, oh yeah, of course I want to do that. So this is, you know, it's a labor of love from everyone involved.
It's a jam session on a record, basically, because we didn't look for the, you know, who's the biggest singer currently that we can just put on a song, and who cares what it sounds like. Like, I mean, it's the singer, so their fans will be. It's not like that at all. It's no matter if there's a big, you know, they're well known or not. We want them on board because the way they play or sing.
Yeah. Well, so you bring everyone together. You have all these people that are collaborating on this, and you know, Mathias, you come from a tech background, right? How has the technology changed over the last little while to make this work? You know, we go pre-COVID. You might have used Zoom once or twice before. All of a sudden now, COVID, we have all of this technology. The platform that we have now. Shout out StreamYard. Make sure you click the QR code. We get some money if you use it. Thank you, StreamYard. But these sorts of technologies that have come down the pipe now, how does that collaboration work for the music industry? Because again, like the editing, James is our guy. Like he could talk for hours on it, and it's just my stupid ass talking, right? So how do you bring 21 people together and get that sound to be like you guys have done so well?
One by one, I would say. But I would start by saying that this is kind of, you know, so. I actually recorded an album 15, 16 years ago, and we did it the same way we did now. So we're not really at the edge of things. The edge of things is really that, you know, they have, you know, you can actually send the complete, you know, recordings back and forth. We don't do that. We basically just share single tracks, and then we put it together, and people put it together in different studios, and they do their part, and then, you know, eventually we put it together in the one big pile, and that's where Oz comes in and do that type of work, and then of course it has to be, you know, mixed, and that's the last step, right? But technology wise, you know, the difference is when I started, because I was born in 1971, by the way, so I'm way older, you know, and when I started recording when I was a teenager. Yeah, James, do you want to say something?
Yeah, it sucks that you look so young. It's really annoying me now. I was born in 1970, and I look hella older than you. Oh, anyway, I'm sorry.
It's the lighting here, I guess. Now, anyway, so the point is that you know, when I started, you know, it was that what everyone is seeing in like the movies or whatever. It's like the studio room with a window and these big tape recorders. You know, that was I lived that world. That was in the 80s, right? Nowadays, you know, any kid, you know, you can just have a laptop and you just put in some software, and you can basically do something that sounds as it was produced by a professional. Well, they probably don't, because they don't know the secrets, but you know, technically it's possible. So what we decided to do is kind of sort of go back to the years, because there was one thing called, I don't know the English term for it, but back in the day, you have like this 4-track recorder. You can do 4 tracks, and when you're done, 3 tracks and you want to do the fourth, you have to mix the 3 down to 1 and then add more. Okay. And that's the way we did demos when I was a kid, and we basically do the same thing here. That's cool. But in using modern technology, and in terms that I get some chords from Oz and I play some keyboards. I send it to him, and he says, I created a new verse, and then send it to me, and I write keyboards on that, and then it goes back and forth. Once we have a foundation of the songs, we basically share that with whomever is going to do the the vocals and so forth. Do you want to add?
Another reason why it sound like we're in the same room is because yes, some of these guys were in different studios, but some of them weren't. I mean, I had all bass except for the 2 songs, the raw play bass were recorded here with me. All backing vocals here with me. The keyboards were recorded over at Mathias, but I go to Stockholm at least once a month because my son lives there. So when I'm there, we meet up every once in a while. We go through the keyboards and we actually work under the same roof. And that is the case with some of these musicians. And even though they're not technically here in my place recording, they send the tracks to me. Is there anything you want me to change? Oh, I would have done this and that, whatever. And when they send, for example, drums, then I have Rebecca coming over and she records the bass over the drums. That way she won't record, to a drum machine, and then he records his drum separately, and I have to try and mix and match it somehow. She actually plays to whatever she actually follows him. So that therefore we have very strong rhythm section, and that is how we built this, because we made sure that it should sound like we are 21 musicians in the same room playing together, basically.
That is cool.
That's incredible. So
can I add something here? So
absolutely.
In terms of technology, I mean, you wondered about the technology, right? So internet is key. We're also we basically have chatted every day since we started this project. Every day, a few minutes going back and forth. We still do, even to this day. We share thoughts and ideas, and all the time. So we probably have to give some money to Facebook because we're using their messenger to that. Regarding the files, I mean, I personally use a Google Drive. Also uses a WeTransfer. Sometimes we use emails. We have some shared documents. So we're using all of these technologies. Like you asked about the Zoom part. We've done interviews like this, but we never used actual videos when we just talked.
I did when Jane recorded her vocals. She's from the UK, so she recorded her vocals in the studio there. I was live at one point, kinda producing over Zoom.
But that's so wild to think about. 5 years ago, with what you've done, you would have had a really different experience, right? Oz, like you can't be there doing the vocals in the same way without an exorbitant, expensive weekend away, studio time, flights, travel, all that sort of thing. So technology has really changed the way that this is doing it. And, for the better and the worse, I'm sure, right? Because assholes like us now can have a camera and a mic, and now we got a podcast. You guys find that the music scene is sort of the same thing? Like there's people that are jumping into places that, okay, like
maybe you shouldn't be there.
Cute what you're doing, but let's let some people do what they do.
I actually heard today that they add around 10,000 songs to Spotify every day. So I mean, that's, to me, I mean, if you think back, if you think about the area that we're giving a homage to, right?
Yeah.
The number of bands was way fewer. There were garage bands, but they never recorded because it was too expensive and they didn't get the opportunity to do that. Yep. Now there's no excuse. Anyone can do that, like you guys. It's the same thing. And
everywhere.
Yeah.
Shots fired.
No, I think
but so in the business of this, it's changed vastly from when we were kids. So I had some friends that were musically inclined. They had a band. They did the 4-track taping, made an album, and then they would send it to like not only radio studios but also like record labels. But now it seems like you don't do that. You put your song, you make a music video of some kind that's a gotcha video on YouTube, and then somehow, some way, a record studio sees it, and then you maybe get a deal. How are you guys finding the music industry has changed in that way? Like, how are you guys, because you're both successful with other projects, with other bands, right? How are you finding making headway in that way?
I have to leave this to Oz, because when we did this, my last album, I actually was, besides being a hired gun, the last album I was actually part of was years back. So
Sure.
social media wasn't even invented back then. So Oz, why don't you talk about what you did with Osukaru and the way that you're using social media and the way that you see the industry changing, because again, it's very different. Radio stations is not the way it used to be, right? So
at least not over here. I mean, a radio station is still the shit back over in the US and Canada, but over here it is more streaming than the radio, basically. But what I'm trying to do, because in a digital world, go analog. In an analog world, go digital. You have to do the opposite to stand out a little bit. So I'm trying to think of ways they did things back in the day and try to modernize it in a way. Like, okay, how could I do that, but now? So with Osukaru, for example, I mean, we're a quote-unquote hair metal band. And I don't try to reinvent the 80s with a Rendezvous, I do, but with Osukaru, I don't. What I try to do is I look at the band like, okay, what if this was a parallel universe, a different timeline where the hair metal scene came now and didn't come back, came in the 80s? What would it sound like? What would it look like? It would probably much be the exact same thing, but with modern technology, instead of a leather jacket from 78, it could be a leather jacket from 2018, but it's still a leather jacket. It's still the all the hairspray and all of that stuff. So what we try to do is just continue it and play good rock and roll, but here and now, and not try to no we're doing 80s rock and stuff like that. I mean, it was invented back then, but we're trying modern, and that's the way I do. And I always borrow a thought from Mr. Stanley, Mr. Simmons of Kiss, and try to do my Northern Star is pretty much Kiss on a budget. How can I do what Kiss does but within the budget? And that is how I try to come up with promotional ideas, with merchandise. Osukaru is, at this point, the only club band, I think, that has a tour program on sale at shows in the merch booth. And I figured, why not just make a fucking Facebook page on paper and make that a tour program? It doesn't have to be 24 rock pages of me in cool poses. It can be informative. It can be like everything you find on Instagram or Facebook can be in this little magazine, and we can sell it to people for a tenner. And we do, and it is one of the more popular items we have, because people normally see that in an Iron Maiden show or Metallica or Kiss or what have you, but Guns N' Roses and stuff, but never a theater act or a club act. So me introducing that kind of stir up a few things, and that eventually got the attention of labels. With Osukaru was with a very small German label called City of Lights for a amount of years, but then we moved up to one of the bigger ones called AWR Heaven over here, which we released the last album we did called Starbound. That label folded due to the owner retiring. So the one doing the promotion for that label, called her name was Brigitte, and she had a company called Germusica. She took over, and she already had a in-house label called Pride and Joy, but this now became the new AOR Heaven. So Pride and Joy is, aside from Frontiers, which pretty much is the behemoth of melodic rock labels over here, Pride and Joy is pretty much the next one under that. So she took. We continue working together with Osukaru, she and I, but she was also very curious on Rendezvous, and she released the digital version and the CD version. The vinyl was released on my bedroom label, called Dusty Road Records. But
And the cassette. And the cassette. Don't forget the.
The upcoming cassette as well.
Wow.
Hey, who makes that anymore?
Wow. I didn't even know you could do that. Yeah, no, that's unbelievable. You just gave me a flashback while you're talking about the pamphlet, the brochure that you have at your concerts. I remember I totally had this visual in front of my little record player because I had a little one, lying on my tummy, looking at the Queen album and reading it over and over again while I listened to the music and trying to figure out, what the lyrics meant and what was their idea behind it, and what's the message and stuff. And it was it added a depth that we don't get from digital music anymore, because you hit play on Spotify and it just runs through everything, and it usually just runs through what you already like, and it doesn't really add anything that you don't like, right? So you don't get to hear all that genre. And the other thing that I think is cool about an album is that I would buy an album and I would play it. And I would really I would eat it. It would become part of me, I can think of books that I read and I've linked them to albums. When I hear a song, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that book, or I remember that time, like I said, with my dad. But now it's just random noise in the background because there's so many songs and you're not even sure who's singing them. You don't know anything about the people. I think that's amazing. Is there a song on this album that stands out for each of you, and it can be a different song for each of you, that you're hoping people get a meaning out of, or you're hoping it has a message that's important, or maybe it's just an album that you're like, that the musical sounds that we put together just jive so beautifully?
Wow. Oz, do you have a quick answer to that?
No.
Quick one, yeah.
Yeah. So I can start if you want to have a formal moment. So to me, this is going to sound so boring. I'm sorry, but I'm one of those persons I never ever try to interpret the lyrics. I seldom even read them because I'm a musician. I didn't listen to these magical notes that I hear, or the rhythm change, or the groove, or and I when I listen to music, I can go, oh, I have to listen to that bridge again because that was a cool thing. I want to nick that. I want to use that in my song. So that's me, right? So to me, it's all about that, the musical side of things. So I don't have a message per se, but if I should mention a couple of songs on this album, because I can't choose one, you can never do that, right? So
you can't.
They're all your baby, exactly. Yeah.
Well, so I would start with a song called Sacred Land, which is actually a riff that I wrote as a teenager back in the day. And I'm actually using the same synthesizer sound that I wrote it on. I think I probably wrote it in like 87, something like that. And it's basically the riff and the chorus. And we actually had that in the previous band, we tried to do something about it. Well, we never really got it off the ground. But this time Oz had a brilliant idea and it became this song. So to me, that's like, this is the old idea that I had, and he just made it perfect by adding pieces to it. And then we had Chris on vocals, who made a brilliant melody, and make it, even better. So to me, that's one of the songs I want to point out because it's such a long journey to get there, right? And the other one I want to mention is one of the softer songs. It's called All Those Leads Back to You, where it started. I wrote this in a hotel room, probably when I worked for HP. So I probably remember these days. I wrote it in a hotel room somewhere, probably here in Stockholm back then, and I showed it to Oz. This is years ago, and he said we need to do a song on this. But we didn't make it, and then we were starting doing this album and said we need to do something about this song. And I had this idea that let's try the thing that a Simple Minds did when they have this piano thing that comes in in the end of the song. I don't remember the name of the song these days, but someone probably do, right? I said let's do it like that. And then I said, oh, so we have to have the rest of the song. And then I wrote something simple, and then this song just grew and grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And we, as Oz mentioned, Jane was there doing some of the lyrics and some of the melodies for the song, and it came from this thing that I wrote in a hotel room some late night when I was working, and then now it's been this beautiful, ballad type of thing which my partner Anna, which is in bed by the way because it's later in Sweden, she just loved that, and she's like, "Did you write that for me?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, sure."
Yep.
So that's the second song I want to mention. So with that,
Because you wrote it for
I mean-
Anna. Because you wrote it for Anna, that's why you want to mention it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that song. This is like the 7th version of that song, actually, because we had that riff. The way the song ends is the original riff that he wrote, and the lick more likely. But we tried to build songs around the lick so many times until when I was in Stockholm one day, and Mathias just played me something like, "Do you recognize this?" And he played me the actual lick in the beginning of the song. I was like, yeah, but I don't know where. Have I heard a song? Is it a cover? Is it something you heard and want to show me or something? No, it's that one song that we did, back when. Nah. Well, yes, it is, because listen here. And then he pretty much took it apart and showed me why it's the same. And I was like, okay. Now we're onto something. And all of a sudden, a brand new world just opened up. And we pretty much, from spending almost a decade trying to figure this thing out, it was done in less than 5 minutes when he did that. And musically that is. So yeah, but that is one of the tunes. Absolutely. I would also raise a flag for These Tears that he you called back in the late 80s as well, which was one of the songs we recorded with I as well. And I was like, you know what, we didn't do the song justice, because you wrote that song together with Johnny, a friend of yours from back when. And
we did record it in one of those studios with the big tape recorders I mentioned before.
Yeah,
this was one of the things in the classical studios with windows and it's big mixer boards and everything, right? So that song was recorded back in I think it's also like 86, 87, something like that. I was a teenager, and we had in Sweden you if you had a band you get some a couple of days of studio time. So so that's that song that out. Sorry for cutting it short. I'll go back to your story. I just wanted to put that in.
Yeah, I just felt that we did him a dishonor recording that version. Not that the musicians back then were bad or anything. It wasn't. It didn't. We tried to make them. We try too hard, and sometimes that is more of a curse than a blessing. This time we went back to the core of the song, but we sped it up just slightly and rearranged it just slightly, and didn't try to reinvent what was recorded back in the late 80s, but actually did it our version, and all of a sudden that one came to life as well. I would also... As We Cry pretty much is one of the first few tracks we wrote for this one, when we actually knew that this was going to be a project. And that song is pretty much the entire record in one song, at least according to me. That is one of the tunes where when I listen to it myself, I get memories, like if I have heard it from back when, and that was pretty much the goal. That's the nostalgia part. I wanted to create an album that what John Mayer so amazingly said with his latest one, Saw Brock. He wanted to create an album during the pandemic that gave false memories, songs that gave comfort, like you had heard them before. That was pretty much my North Star when it came to this one. And that one truly get that, at least out of me. Fool's Gold is another one. That one is just killer. And that is a lot to, of course, Jane's amazing vocals. Her voice, jeez. But the keyboards on this one as well. I told I basically told Mathias I wanted a song that that you could hear in a early 90s action film, like B action, Stallone, Schwarzenegger, that sort of action, when they weren't actually no, there weren't anymore really in their heydays. They did more the straight to video sort of thing. I wanted a song that felt like one of the later Rocky movies, not the earlier ones, because there's a certain charm to it. Mathias took that to heart and came up with a pretty cool intro. Not pretty cool, it's actually amazing intro that really gets you, within seconds you're back in those days, thinking of an action scenario in your head, listening to them. And the lyrics to that song is actually about take charge of your own life, and came out on the other end more powerful, more charged than anything. So and also the other song Jane sings, The Essence of Love, that the second video we did, because that one, it just something happened with it when we wrote it. It's such a feel good summer, let's go to the mall type pop song, from the mid to late 80s. That how the fuck did we write that?
Yeah,
it just one of the songs that I wrote itself, basically.
I'm always blown away by artists and listening to their process, because I am not an artist at all. I can't draw to save my life. I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket.
Definitely not an artist.
Right. But I am always like, just listening to you gentlemen just go through that process. And each one of you went on a very different path and different journey to get to the exact same place, to what you guys have created. And I'm always blown away by that. I'm a math guy. I'm a business nerd. That's my thing. And I'm always blown away the way creative people can come together and really do amazing, wonderful things. And you guys are clearly doing it. And it's wonderful to hear stories. And, before we started talking today, it was kind of a unique thing where I'm like, I don't want you to give me your media pitch. James and I are like, we're not that show. We want to get to who you guys are. And when we do a 50-minute to an hour-long show, that's what we're trying to get to. We talk about your father. We talk about the journeys, the long drives. You show the art that you've put together. That's where we, with Soaring Profits, we love having people like yourselves to come out here and just explain who they are, unveil that stories of champions. And I'm always blown away when I get amazing, talented people that we get the opportunity to chat with now all the way around the world. We, like I said, we were in Scotland in our interview before. Here we are with you guys now. Guys, it has been such a cool experience having you. Sia was, she was totally right. I've loved every minute of that. How do people get in touch with you guys? I know you're on YouTube. I know you're on Spotify. I know you're on all the platforms, but how do they see you? How do they support you? And how do they continue to follow your brand and what you guys continue to do with not only yourselves, but hey, maybe 22 or 23, if James and I can maybe play the spoons on your next one. We'll see what we can put together.
I have drums. I can't play them, but I have them.
There you go.
No, so we're also, I think you have the complete list, but we're we're available on Facebook. Again, search for our names, and the full name is Oz Hawe Petersson's Rendezvous. So it's not the shortened version that we have in the title here. It's actually the full name of Oz and then Rendezvous after that. But if you just put in Oz Hawe, then you get in Spotify, you will find us. And so where else are we? Right, we are available anyway, right?
Yeah, and I just want to say also that my name is not there because I'm more important than Mathias. Is absolutely 50-50. Why my name is up there is because I've been more out on the live scene with Osukaru. So this was more of a thing, coming from the label as well, being like, okay, we need to promote this new project. So, but I made sure, if you can see that my name is not very big here. It's actually Rendezvous that is the main thing, because I don't want to be the Yngwie J. Malmsteen's Rising Force, where I just do soloing over all of this and everything. I'm very much in the background when it comes to the music here. And I mean, yes, Mathias and I wrote most of the songs and everything, but we have amazing co-writers on this. We have so many musicians, like we mentioned, and this is their album as much as it is ours. But when it comes to the project itself, I mean, it's it is Mathias and I. It's not me without him or him without me. It wouldn't work without the other.
Yeah.
No.
So that is the Rendezvous is the key name here. It's not my name. I just wanted to make that sure. But yes, to find us, yes, Oz Hawe Petersson. You can see how it's spelled wherever there, right there, and Rendezvous after that.
Yeah, no, they're very easy to find. When I was researching them, they are on literally everything about their albums, about what they've done in the past, about how they came together. You can learn about all that stuff. You know what I particularly love about you two? Pat and I are in this business, and we're narcissists. We're super important. My name always goes before Pat's because I'm more important than him. But you guys come from a place of humility that, like, both of you spent more time talking about the other one's gifts than you did about yourselves. And then you particularly, my name's on it, but it's because it has to be. I love everything about that. It is odd for a band, and it is also why most bands break up, in my experiences, in this small little world that I've been in. I've known a few friends that have been bands, but it's because ego takes over. And I think the beautiful thing about you guys is that, it seems like your egos are on the side and you're just about making a beautiful product. And I urge everyone out there to go check out this album. It's everywhere. I would personally go get the vinyl of it because, oh my God, vinyl is beautiful. And it's funny, my daughter, who's 26, 4 years ago, she told me that vinyl is where it's at. I'm like, wait, what? How do you even know about vinyl? So I bought her a record player. We've been buying vinyl albums for her. And I cannot believe how much vinyl albums are now. Like, there's some that are like 60, 70 bucks that it blows my mind that how much.
I believe of all these mediums, vinyl is the one that will outlive us. I mean, it went from retro and vintage to being timeless, actually. Yeah. Because CDs are on their way out. I mean, cassettes have been out for decades. But we're doing more for nostalgia. But and speaking on the US where we do them, there's a little place in the UK that actually makes cassettes. So
well, but okay, so hang on a second, because I want to dive into that before we wrap this up, and I know we're at the top of the hour. Like, a cassette to me blows my mind that you can even find one, let alone somebody has kept the machines to make them. Like, that's crazy.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is, right? And I think that a lot of people actually, even the winos, they actually buy them to hold them, and then they stream it on their phones or in their head, whatever. Right? But it's the thing to have, it's something that you can hold. So I think it's all about that.
I mean, that's the thing with modern vinyl too. In this case with ours as well, we include a download code with the vinyl because a lot of people buy it for for the collector's appeal, but they listen to it on their phone or on the car stereo, on their computer, what have you. So we want to make that option available for them as well. We include it, but that aside, we made sure that the package itself looks like it is a project from '91, basically.
The colors, exactly. Like, again, when you show it there, it's like a time warp. When you throw that up there, what you said, the colors, it is like going back in time. I think you guys
bring it out. Show the inside off, because this is also bring out the actual vinyl. Because even the centerpiece is actually a homage to that time era. We're really going all in on this one. Check this out. This is amazing. Yeah.
Like Sia just said, there is a ritual to albums. Like,
and a different print on that. There you go. On that side. So it's not the same label. I mean, they are different.
Yeah. Now, do you have an A side and a B side song? So I remember the A side; those are the songs you want to listen to all the time, and then the B side are the ones that are often not heard, but they're also equally beautiful. Did you think about it that way, or you just
the way I did when we made Starbound, the last album we did with Osukaru, because it's the first one we did on vinyl as well. I mean, all of them are available on CD, but that's the first one on vinyl. But I thought, I should think of it more as 2 EPs. Every should have a song that just gets going, a closer, and a mid-high point. So if there are 5 songs, for example, song 1, 3, and 5 have to be just that, and the song 2 and 4 have to be the bridge in between. So that's the way I think when it comes to this. Same thing with the Rendezvous when we went through the order of songs. I mean, it's not like the bridge songs have to be just that. I mean, they should be great songs, but they should keep the momentum.
Right.
So if you listen to side A or side B, it's not like it was back then, because you're right, that all the bangers were on side A and then the fillers on side B. But we tried to make a all killer no filler type of record though, so we wouldn't see it that way. But we wanted to have side A to have a start to just get going, and a ending song that you just want to flip side and continue, because you can't just leave it at that. And that's the same. And then the next one side opens with, like I said, what's his name now? Help me out. Fool's Gold. Because with that cool keyboard intro, the get mysterious, and also it's the first song with Jane. So enter Jane, and it's a new voice, it's a new vibe, and it gets through to the last song, which is Never Be, that has the longest fade out of them all. And when it's over, you're just like, that was a journey. Let's go back.
That's cool.
I could think about the Gartner hype curve. You know that one? Are you aware of the Gartner hype curve? It's like it goes up, and then you have this middle part, and then you go up again.
Okay.
That's that's what we're trying to achieve here. We thought, we hit that off with a bang, and then we get this point where we slow things down. It's like a cooler song, and then we go back in. So that's the whole idea.
Gentlemen, it has been a very cool journey with you guys tonight. It's been a pleasure. I want to thank you for all of our profiteers out there, all over the world, that have an opportunity to meet you guys, hear your stories, talk about your journey from where you started with going on those long rides with your dad. And like James said at the top of the hour when we started, that is what music really comes down to, bringing you back to those moments. And you guys are doing a pretty awesome job of doing that for all of your listeners. So I want to thank you guys again. It's been a pleasure. Profiteers out there, Thursday afternoon live. I know it's a little odd, but here we are. I want to thank you guys for joining. Make sure you like and subscribe and share. We're always working to bring fantastic people, those champions, unveiling the stories of champions. That's what we do here on a weekly basis. We'll see you soon. From me, folks, let's make some money together, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
I love how humble you both are. I love how you are so knowledgeable and in depth in the music that it's not only a science for you guys, but it's a passion. And you think on levels that most musicians today don't think about. They don't tell stories anymore. They just want to be famous. And it's just not the same as it used to be. A whole album. Yep, go ahead.
Sorry, I want to, before you delve into something else, I want to say that to me, success is what we just did is an album. And somewhere in parts of the world we don't even know exist, someone might have that album. Isn't that success?
That's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, we could dream about touring stadiums and all that, of course. But I think that's just a sprinkle on the cake when you look at the core of it, because we have made something that apparently means something to someone else. That is the highest of rewards you can have. Yeah. And something that I wrote in this little room is coming out of speakers somewhere in Tokyo or Chicago or wherever. I don't know. It's that is amazing to me, that that when it comes to modern technology and everything, that we have the opportunity to do that. all you have to do is to find ways to jump the highest or scream the loudest, because there are like 10,000 songs uploaded every day to Spotify or whatever it was. You have to make sure you jump higher and scream louder than those guys. But if you find a way to do that, you can reach heights that you never thought were possible.
Make a difference of one person is enough.
I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's totally true. I think you guys are amazing. You're absolutely right. That's what we do on Soaring Prophets. If our stories that we tell, the stories that we unveil of you champions down there that are changing lives, I can't tell you how many times I have cried, I have worked, I have created, because a musician has been behind me, driving me forward and making me feel in ways that I probably wouldn't feel without their creation. I love what you're doing, and I love the fact that you're more interested in touching one person than you are in and that's your success story. I love that about that. Profiteers out there, a lot of stuff coming in the works. We keep telling you, but there's some beautiful 2 new shows coming. We got a game show coming with our good friend Mark Reed, and we have another show that we're not going to unveil right now, but it's in that financial area with Pat down there, and it's really exciting. It is going to be very interesting, very enlightening, and I think it's going to change the world and touch some people. So let's heal our minds, bodies, and souls together. I love you all. If you're struggling out there today and you need some help, feel free to DM me. I'll be happy to talk to you. You need one person to listen to you. Why not? It can be me. I don't mind, and I will help you out if I can. Thank you so much. I know you guys already put out something that is beautiful about reaching one person, but usually at the end of our show, we look for our guests to reach out to the people out there that might be listening. Maybe in your case, it could be like a brand new musician in this kind of troubled world where everything is like so fast paced, or maybe it's just a thought about on life, like how you approach things. I'll give you each opportunity and then lead us out.
You want to start off?
No.
But I would like to share with everyone that stay true to your passions. I have a professional career besides the music, but I never left music. Music will never leave me. I will never stop writing songs. I'll never stop playing as long as I live. So if you're true to that passion, life is good.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, +1 on that, really. I mean, what else can I say? But I would just say, if I can make it, so can you. It's really that easy if you just put your mind to it. You have, like I said, you might have to scream a little bit louder than everyone else, but there are so many ways to do it, and you will find, if you're a musician or if you're want to work in entertainment, sports, or whatever field, actually. I mean, you'll find your way. It might take some time sometimes, but it's worth it. And in the end, I mean, look at the core of it. If you just change, one person, you're already there.
Rock on. I love it, boys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.